Hello and welcome to another tutorial by Level Up Networks, your choice for free and comprehensive guides for all your technical needs. Today we're going to talk about 5 cool free apps for your Windows 10 installation. Things that utilities that you will be using on your everyday to enhance your performance and add some really cool tools for your Windows 10. Well, enough about that. Let's get started. Welcome back. So like I said earlier, today we're going to install and I'll show you how to use 5 really cool free applications for Windows 10. Now I've gone already ahead and downloaded all the applications for this tutorial, but you will find the links, well, I will put them in the comments below in the description so you can go ahead and download them, whichever one you like. So let's start with this. So the first one I'm going to show you is called Ccleaner. So let's go ahead and install it. So Ccleaner is a very handy tool, and essentially what it does is, as the name says, it cleans your Windows 10. So it's very handy to delete unnecessary cookies and temporary files, and you can optimize your registry by removing things that you don't need. Now, the free version is fully functional. But obviously it also has a pro version, which you can also purchase, but for most of us the free version is more than enough. Now let's see why. Okay, so one thing that you need to bear in mind when you install free applications is that sometimes they come with a bit of bloatware. I know Ccleaner in the past would come with like antivirus in it or browsers. So I always tend, whenever I install a free program, is to also use the advanced installation so we can deselect anything that we don't want to be installed. Now I don't recall if this version has the bloatware, but we'll check that right now. So if we click on customize instead of install, so here are the options it gives us. So we can have the intelligent cookie scan, which comes in handy. So everything's pretty much okay. There's nothing that gets installed. Let's see under more. No. Okay. Nothing gets installed besides the program itself. So let's install it. And here we go. So as you can see, when we're trying to install, it's going to try to install other software. Now this is completely up to you. I personally don't like to install anything that I didn't want to purposely download. So I will go ahead and click on decline. And there we go. There goes Ccleaner installing. So we shall finish this installation, and then what it's going to do is going to put a desktop icon on the desktop, as you can see. And then once it finishes, I will run it and I will just show you briefly how it works. So that's it. That's installed. Now, if you want to really read the release notes, go ahead. Otherwise, just untick it, which I'll do that right now. And let's run Ccleaner. And there you go. That's it. Installed and running. Now, it's pretty straightforward. You can have several options. You can see it has a health check, a custom clean, a registry, and then has some tools, and you can also set the options and upgrade. So I'm going to go through the first 4 things, which are the health check, the custom clean, the registry, and the tools. So the health check, essentially what it does is that it's going to scan your computer, make sure that everything's Specky clean. So it's going to automatically clean everything that it has already by default, and it's also going to do the registry clean for you and just do very basic optimizations. Now I tend not to do the health check just because I don't want all the default things to run, and I want to add a few other things. So in this case I will not run it, but if you're happy with the defaults that Ccleaner will do for you, then you can go ahead and it saves you some time. Now, in order to see what Ccleaner cleans by default, if you just go to custom clean, Now let me just maximize this. And essentially everything that's ticked, it's what's going to do. So you can do it from here, or you can do it through the health check. Now, for example, I only have, if I recall correctly on this installation, yeah, Chrome, Edge installed. So let's go for that. So essentially what's going to do on the Microsoft Edge is going to remove your cache, your history, your cookies, your download history, last download location, and the recent type URLs. Now, I tend to unselect a few of these because, before I start into that, this is important for the browser you use. So if you use any of these, then select accordingly, and the other ones you can use them as default because you don't really care that it removes everything else. Now you'll see here that you don't have Chrome, even though I have it installed. So Chrome would be underneath applications. So here we go. So Chrome is my choice of browser usually, and some things I don't want deleted are, for example, the cookies. No, not the cookies. Oh, it doesn't have it here actually. Okay, never mind. So let's go back to Windows. So let's say, for example, that Microsoft Edge, which is the default browser, which a lot of your users may use by default if you have not installed a purposed browser for them. And one thing they like to keep is this one, the recently typed URLs. Now, if you delete this, many people, very non-advanced users, they will not use the favorites or the bookmarks. They'll just rely on the things they've typed, and when they start typing on the keyboard, they just use the autocomplete, and there they have it. So I tend to leave this for all users. And another thing that I do for other users as well is for the Internet Explorer, just because there's some legacy applications on the cloud that still require Internet Explorer. I don't know why, but that's because they just haven't updated it to work on the other ones. Another thing I tend to click, if we go here, is the old Prefetch Data. This will delete that. And also, I don't have it here. And the event logs. Now, bear in mind that if you're going to be you're working on a server, for example, I would not leave the event logs because that's very handy to troubleshoot. Also, if you're going to fix a problem on someone's computer, don't run the Ccleaner with that because then you won't be able to do too much troubleshooting. So there's two options here. Once you tick everything you want, you can analyze it, or you can go ahead and run the Ccleaner. Now, analyze just does that. It will check exactly how much space it can clean up. And it won't do the cleanup, essentially. It will just let you know how much you can do. And then if you run the Ccleaner, what that means is that it's going to not only analyze it, but also clean. Now, this is a fresh install of Windows. Well, fresh. It's a virtual environment, which I don't use. So if I analyze, it shouldn't find too much things. There we go. So as you can see, actually did find quite a few things. 205 megabytes can be removed, more or less, and you can see exactly where it finds everything. So essentially the one that it will delete the most from is from Edge Chromium, which is 111 megabytes. And that is practically because I use Chromium today to download the applications. So it has them cached there. So that's why it's taking so much. Also, your temporary files is when, every time you install an application, it will put some temporary files. So because I've installed a few programs since I've installed this Windows installation, it still has 73 megs there. And then as you can see, it's just a few megs here and there. Now, obviously, the more you use your computer, the more it will find. So I would recommend to use Ccleaner maybe once a month, for good practice. Get rid of all the temporary files, and it just keeps your computer as optimized as possible. So let's go ahead and run it. So we go down here and we run Ccleaner. Okay, so it just tells you, are you sure? And we say continue. And there it goes. Now this shouldn't take too long. It just goes through every little thing and deletes it. And there we go. So we've cleared approximately 207 megabytes, which took about 10 seconds to do. And that's how you run the cleaning side of things. Now, in the registry. So the registry, if you're not an advanced user, I wouldn't recommend too much to use this. But essentially, what the Ccleaner does is that it goes through your registry. Let's say, for example, you've uninstalled quite a lot of programs, and those programs have installed extensions. Let's say, for example, let's say you installed Photoshop, and when you installed it the first time, what it does is it associates all the PSD files, etc., to Photoshop, and then when you uninstall it, it doesn't remove the extensions, so it will still be in the registry. So essentially, this cleaner, what it does, it goes through all your registry and removes all the unwanted extensions or unused extension. Now I'm going to run it because I don't have anything critical. But once again, if you're not if you don't know what you're doing, don't do this section. I mean, there is a part you'll see now that it will allow you to back up your registry before it does the cleanup. So if you don't know what you're doing, that's how to go. So scan for issues. There you go. So as you can see, there's a lot of, for example, extensions here from Net Framework. And the reason being is because when we do Windows updates, it's upgraded from version 1 to the one I have now. So these ones are not necessary. And here it's just found a lot of extensions that are not being used. And these are just programs that I've uninstalled, so I can't find the icons and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and go fix selected issues. And there you go. So from here, you can back up your registry. So for example, if you do this and it breaks something, you can always restore your registry. To be personally honest, I have not come once where this has corrupted my Windows. So I personally tend not to do a backup. I know it's not best practice. But like I said, it's always good to do the backup and then delete it. But I'm going to press no because, like I said, this is just an image I don't use. So that's good to know. So it's found 64 issues. You can either go one by one. So, if you know what you're doing, you can say, okay, this one yes, this one no, etc., So I'm just going to go and fix them all. There we go. Now, the thing with this, with the registry side of things, is that you may need to do a few runs for it to find everything. It doesn't usually find all the fixes on the first go. So let's run it again. And I think this time, yeah. Well, because, excuse me, because this is not a Windows 10 installation that's really in use, there's not a lot of issues, as you can see, but you tend to run this a few times, 2 to 3 times, until you clean everything. So the registry cleaner is pretty straightforward, as it was the custom clean. And the other one is tools. Now this one's pretty cool, actually. So from tools itself, you can uninstall programs, as you can see. You can update programs. You can check your startup. So why would you use the uninstall here instead of your normal apps from Windows 10? Well, sometimes when you uninstall a program, and it's maybe you're uninstalling it because it just didn't work right or you don't need it, but sometimes that uninstallation gets corrupt. So even though it has sort of removed the program, you still see it on your apps dialog, and it just gives you an error that you can't remove it. Well, from here, you have the option where you can just delete it as well, and it will remove it. I mean, this will not uninstall it. It will just remove the actual program from the list. So if you wish to uninstall, you just go to uninstall. So let's uninstall something just so you can see it. Let's see, what can we remove? Well, let's remove, for example, mobile plans. Mobile plans is not something I use on this particular image. So you just click on it and you go to uninstall. Are you sure you want to proceed? And okay. and it's gone. Now, because this is a default app that comes with Windows 10, there was no excuse me, uninstallation. But if you want to uninstall a program, you will go through the whole uninstallation process where next and blah blah blah. Another option you can do here is the repair. So let's say, for example, you had a Microsoft Office 365 installation and you need to run a repair on it. You just, once again, you select on it and you go to repair. Now, obviously not all of them have the option to repair. Let's say, for example, let's see one that may have it. All right, I don't think I have anything installed here that has the option. Actually, the one I did before did, but I don't think anything here has that option. Okay, not a problem, but you can do that from here. Then from Software Updater, this would just look, at any programs that need an update. Obviously, it doesn't detect every single program, but if that program communicates with Ccleaner, it will allow you to update. Then you got your startup. So from here, I got, the Ccleaner, security health, and the VirtualBox. So from here, you can enable, disable it, or delete it as well. You got scheduled tasks, services, menu, blah, blah, blah. Another thing you can use from here is the browser plugins. So I don't have any particularly installed, but once again, you can enable or disable them from here, or even uninstall them. This will just check, for example, what type of files are using the most space on your machine. So let's say, for example, let's analyze everything on my C drive. So there we go. And that was pretty quick, once again, because I don't have much. So from pictures, I'm using 18 megs, how much music, puts in categories, it shows you the biggest file. And it's a very handy place to see, for example, if you're running out of space, to see exactly what you can clean up or remove. It has a very handy duplicate finder as well. So let's say you've transferred all your photographs and you forgot to delete them, and then you do it again. This will find all the duplicates on your system. Then you have obviously the system restore. Now this only works if you have excuse me, the actual option of system restore enabled on your machine, and then you can just remove it if you don't need it. Yeah, this will not let you it will not let you restore your system. This is, for example, if you have a system restore from like 3 years ago and you're running out of space, you can just remove that one from the one that you actually want. Now, why can't I do this one? Because that's the latest one, and you need to have at least one. Okay, and drive wiper, that's it. It's just to completely remove the drive. Obviously, don't run this on your actual Windows 10 installation. I won't let you probably, but I've never tried it, to be honest. I would think it would not let you, but if it did let you, then you would delete everything. And then the last thing is just your options, where you can just set up, your basic settings for Windows Ccleaner. I won't go over this. This is for you to explore. But yeah, that's it. That's Ccleaner in a nutshell. Right, so the next application I'm going to show you is Notepad++. So let's go ahead and install it. Now Notepad is a very, very, very handy application, especially if you are going to be developing or coding or just want multi-tab Notepad. It's very good. So as you can see, it's very quick to install. So I will run it now. Okay. Let's maximize it. So yeah, so when you run it for the first time, obviously you have the little changelog here. It's not the fanciest of application, but I use this one very, very much. And what I like about it is because I do a little bit of coding here and there, especially for my website, is that it color codes all your codes. So as you can see here, you have a tab. So if you just double click here, it will create a new one, and you can just go ahead and type. Okay, that's enough nonsense there. So let's have a look at the color coding. So let's say, for example, let's go to any website. Let's open our browser, and I don't know, let's go to BBC, for example, BBC News. You can go to anything. I'm just doing this for an example. So home, and let's just load the website, and from there I'm just going to let it load for a little bit, and I'm going to download the source code. So I'm going to right click on it, view page source. Okay, so this will actually put all the code. So as you can see, the browser itself, when you do it, you can see all the color coding and what's code, what's text, blah, blah, blah. But obviously you can't edit this. So let's just Control A, select everything, Control C, and let's paste this into Notepad. Now, at the moment, nothing is color coded, and that's because it doesn't know what type of file it is. So I'm gonna just save it. So let's save as. Let's put it on the desktop, and let's call it BBC source.html. Okay, we'll select here just in case HTML. Here you are, and save. All right, so there you go. It's all very, very nicely color coded for you. So from here, it's very handy. Like I said, if you are a coder and you got an error, for example, on your website, and you just want to see, you can run macros, you can put plugins, it has very, very, very complete. It's also very handy. So let's say, for example, you have a very large text file, and Notepad just won't run it because it's just too large. Now we're talking about a few megs. Most of the text files are just a few kilobytes. But if it's a few megs, normal Notepad from Windows may struggle to open it. So you would use Notepad++, as we have now. And some other handy features is that all the lines have numbers between them. So sometimes when you get an error in your code, it'll say, refer to line, 63 of your code, and with Notepad itself you can't, or even if you copy paste it on Word, you don't see this, but here you go. You can have it in different languages. So this is, for example, the languages in terms of the file itself. So this one, for example, is HTML, that's because we said it as such, but it does very common ones like PHP, it has C++, it has Python, so it has every little thing you may think of. You can also have, for example, you can run the code from here. So let's say, for example, let's run this. Let's try to use Chrome. Let's find it. So it will be C drive, program files, Google, Chrome, application, Chrome, open. So let's run this. So in theory, when it opens Chrome, it should load the code of the website. So let's wait for it. Let's see if it does it or not. Doesn't seem like it liked us. So let's try it again. Run Chrome, run. Yeah, it doesn't like us. Perfect. Just the example I wanted to show you. Okay, so this may be just because it's it's loading things from the web, and we don't have a web server installed, but that's fine. So I'm really not going to go through all the options. There's just too many. I just really wanted to show you how it looks like. But you can, like here, you can, for example, start recording, and this is for macros, and then you can play it back and see all the revisions. You can search. Has so many things. You can go through the different windows. It has a very, very, very comprehensive help. You can do it through, it takes you to the online version of it. Obviously, it doesn't download it because it minimizes as much space as you have. Then from link, you can go to the link. So as you can see, they're underlined. So in theory, if I click here, okay, and I need to press Control. Oh, is it Control or Alt? I always forget. Okay, it's actually Shift. So let's try another one. Oh, sorry. Actually, no. I just have to double click it. Oh my god, this is terrible. Sorry, guys. I can see I have not used Notepad in a while. But this is very handy. Let's say, for example, you're making your own website and you want to see your competitors' keywords, for example. So if you just download the source, and then, for example, here we got the meta tags. So you got the description with here. You know, you got all the Twitter side of things. Let's see if they put any keywords here. So you can Control F it and keywords, for example. You can count. Okay, so these are the keywords. Essentially, that's using a script phrase, so it doesn't technically see it. But you can also do something that's very handy. You can change, replace text, and you go Control H. And the good thing about it is you can replace it in all documents. So let's say you're literally, once again, the example of your own website, and you accidentally put, I don't know, the wrong text in your footer. Like say for example, you developed your website in 2017, and then you notice it and it says on the footer there that it was the date is 2017, and you didn't put any code, so it just shows the text. So you can literally go and switch everything that says 2017 and change it to 2020, and you just go replace in all open documents and it will do it. So let's do an example so we can see here. Let's say, for example, I don't know, search. I'm sure this will have this word. So Control H, we go to search. So, and then we'll change it with, I don't know, Yahoo Rocks. Okay, so this will first of all look for search and replace it. You want to replace it in all documents? Yes. Okay, so it's changed it 179 times. So now if we go to Yahoo Rocks, let's find it. So find next, there you go, Yahoo Rocks, Yahoo Rocks. Okay, now it's over here as well. Yahoo Rocks, Yahoo Rocks, Yahoo Rocks. Alright, well that's a very short Notepad++ tutorial, let's say. I do apologize for that. But this is the type of thing that you really have to play with it. And you will have a look and you will love it as much as I do. Like I said, this is probably more useful for people that actually do some coding, or you want to edit multiple documents at once. It's probably not for the everyday user, but I highly recommend it, as it is an improvement over Notepad from Windows. All right, let's get to the next program now. The next program in our list is called Specky. Now, Specky is a pretty useful tool, essentially to see your components, monitor your fans, monitor the heat of your CPU, your GPU, and other various things on your physical machine. So let's install it. Once again, let's click on Customize to ensure that it doesn't install any sort of bloatware. It doesn't. I don't want updates, so let's just install it. And let's just minimize this while we do it. And there it goes, installing. Okay, we don't want to see the release notes. So Specky is also created by Piriform, which is the same company that creates Ccleaner. And as you can see, it's very compact mode. So let's just let it all load and let's maximize it, and I'll just take you around. So in the summary, it will just tell you some very basic things like your operating system, your CPU, how much RAM you have, motherboard, etc, etc, etc. Now bear in mind that I'm running this on my virtual environment, so the specs are not the wow factor that you may be expecting. So from here you can also click on each one, but otherwise you have them here on your left hand side. So let's click, for example, on the operating system. So on the operating system, it tells us obviously what OS we have, when we installed it, the actual serial number. You can see what fixes are installed, like for example, if we have the antivirus, if we have Windows updates installed, if there's configure for auto updates, if anything to schedule. So quite a few things. CPU. Now this is where it starts getting a bit more interesting. So because this is a virtual environment, it will not show me the temperatures, but essentially it will tell you the temperature of each core. I'm using virtual cores, so hence why you don't see the temperatures of them. You see them, the processor, what it is, how many gigahertz, what's the code name of it, etc, etc. Same goes with the RAM. So with the RAM, actually it tells me here how much memory we're using, how much is allocated, how much virtual environment, so your page file, how big that is, and once again it's all through these little handsy indicators. Same with the graphics, storage, etc, etc. Now it's a very handy tool, especially if you are wishing to purchase, let's say you're a gamer, for example, and you want to just see all the specs, make sure that everything is compatible with the game, or you wish to buy upgradable hardware, so you can see if you can fit more slots in your RAM. So if we go to RAM, for example, it tells us how much size we have, and once again, this is a virtual environment. It will tell you how many physical slots you have and how much RAM is in each slot. So you can see it does have a lot of information about your current setup on your machine. It's very handy, like I said, not only just to purchase hardware, but also to keep an eye out, ensure that everything is running to its ideal temperature, that you're not maxing out in RAM, that you're not maxing out on space, or that your CPUs are handling everything as it needs to be. This is just technically an informative software, so it's not you can do anything physically with it. So it's just to ensure, like I said a few times already, that everything is running up to spec. The next one is going to be Filezilla. So let's go ahead and install that. Filezilla. And as it says, it's an FTP client. Now, for those that don't know what an FTP client, FTP means File Transfer Protocol. And it's essentially a way to upload or download files into a server. It's very commonly used if you are going to create your own website and you want to download your site for a backup, or if you want to upload images, or if you just want to see the paths of your files on your website. But you can also obviously configure it to multiple servers. You can connect it, for example, to a Windows server. And it's a very good way to just transfer files between your server and your computer. This is handy specifically if you're working, let's say, for example, from home, and you don't have your shared drives and you wish to get a file downloaded, and you just connect your server through the FTP. Obviously, you would need to install an FTP server on your Windows installation or on your actual web host in order to do this. But it's a very handy tool. You have your directory browser, so from here you have your sites, so you can create your sites, and you can, let's do one. I won't connect to a particular one, but I'll just show you the options. So if you click new site, for example, you can do protocols like FTP, the secure FTP, and then target grade one. The most usual ones, the most common ones are FTP and SFTP. The host would be either the IP address to your required server, or if you have a domain, it would be something like ftpmyserver.com. For example, the default port is 21, but obviously when you set up your FTP, you can put any port you wish. As long as that port is accessible through the firewall, then it will let you go through. Then you just put your username, which whatever you choose, and the password, and you press OK, and that will save it. You can ask it to save your password or not, and then when you go back to your site controls, there you go. You have it there saved. Now I'm going to delete it because it's just a dummy connection. Now, like I said, it's where you see the things when you connect. So this on the left-hand side is technically your, well, not technically, it's actually your machine. And then when you connect to the FTP server, you would go and see everything from here. So let's just try to find a public FTP. So let's just look for one on the internet, just so I can show you. Public FTP site, for example. Let's have a look. So let's see. Let's just see one of these. Oh, that doesn't work, does it? All right, so this website's not very helpful. Let's go to this one. All right, so let's check this one, for example. So the FTP site would be testrebex.net, so we'll copy it. Now instead of going to the site manager, we'll just put it here. So the host is that. Okay. It's demo password, and the port is 22. And we go to quick connect. Okay, this is just asking you if we trust this. I'll say yes for the time being. All right, so this is, for example, what the FTP site would look like. So let's just go and download this readme.txt, for example. So let's just put it on, I don't know, on any folder we want. So users, okay, my documents, for example. All right, so to download, you can just drag and drop. Okay, right, doesn't let us download. So let's just double click on it. No, it doesn't let us. All right, but you get the idea. This is not a problem with Filezilla. It's just that this particular FTP site does not let us download anything. But potentially, let's see if we can edit it and view it from here. So if we right click and we will use Notepad, let's see. No, it doesn't let us. All right, let's disconnect. I'm going to try another one because I really want to show you how to do this. So we will go server disconnect, and let's try find another one. Okay, let's see if we see another FTP. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right, well, this one allows us. No, let's try something else. Let's see. Okay, never mind. You get the drift. So essentially, it's pretty intuitive. Once you connect to the FTP, you drag and drop, you double click it. If you want to save this, you can go to Site Manager and you create the new site. And the same way it works to upload to the other website. So let's say, for example, if we have, I don't know, let's see if it lets us upload. I doubt it. Let's have a look. if we can upload, let's see the cookies here. No, nothing here. Documents. Well, let's create a new folder in my documents here. Let's just go here. Let's just go into Windows and upload the first file we see. Anything. This log, for example. Let's see if it lets us. Yeah, okay. So it did let us, but then I deleted it, as you saw. So essentially, yeah, drag and drop, either way. And that essentially is your Filezilla. The last program in our list is called Power ISO. So I've gone ahead and I've downloaded an ISO file. So for all of you that don't know what an ISO file essentially is, an image, a disk image, like for example, a DVD, a CD-ROM, Blu-ray image that is converted into a file, and you will use this Power ISO to access that virtual CD-ROM, let's say, and you can run it from there, or you can create a boot image, or you can do many other things. Now bear in mind that Power ISO, where it is free to use, in order to use all the options, you need to upgrade it. But for all purposes that I use it, for example, Power ISO is more than enough with the free version. So let's go ahead and install it. Okay, we don't want Avast, so decline. That's fine. And that is next. And close. Okay. So let's close this. Alright, so we've installed Power ISO. And let's just delete it. Okay, so you have it here in the bottom. So it will ask us to restart the machine the first time we run it, most likely. I don't recall having used this version in a while. So yeah, at first it will want you to upgrade it, and you'll see that this is grayed out, but then after a few seconds you can continue unregistered. So we're going to click there, and this is what you see. So as you saw earlier, I downloaded this UBCD 539, which is another tool I will get into in another tutorial. But essentially it's the ultimate boot CD-ROM, which is amazing. It has tons of tools, like for example, let's say for example you're running Windows 7 still and you forgot your password. The administrator, with this one you can go in and very easy to reset all the passwords of the users. It has partition managers, it has antivirus that runs without running into Windows, so it does its pre-Windows loading, and many disk managers, file managers, etc. It has tons of tools, but we won't get into that right now. So let's say I want to install this boot CD into Power ISO. So I think if I recall correctly, I can just drag and drop it. Yeah, and then from here we just double click on it and it will open all the contents essentially of the CD. But the really cool thing about Power ISO is that you can mount virtual, you know what, I'm not going to do this. Give me cancel this. Yes, I do. And let's remove this because we don't want to extract it, we want to mount it. So if you go back into the application, you'll see here where it says mount. So if we go to mount, at the moment there's no drives. So we'll set, you can do as many as you wish. As you can see, up to 23 drives. Now we don't need that many, so we're going to leave one drive only. Okay, so as you can see, it's asking us to restart the computer. We'll do that in a minute. So once you set that, you can also set it to auto start it when you load Windows and to auto mount. So in order to use your mounted drives, you'll need both of them on. So let's put auto mount as well. Okay, so let's just close this. Do you want to save it? No, for the time being, we'll close this and let's restart this virtual image. Can't see it from here. And we shall restart. So why would you want to do this? So let's say, for example, you wish to install you downloaded a CD-ROM but you know, CD-ROMs nowadays, it's vintage. So you can just mount a drive on your computer, and you can install your application, your game from it, and then just unmount the drive and just keep that ISO file somewhere in your archives or in an external hard drive, whatever you want. Another good thing for this is, let's say you wish to put the media, let's say you downloaded, for example, a Windows Server installation drive, and you need to take that with you to your client so you can install it. So from here you can download the ISO, and then you can burn it through Power ISO, and then you can burn it into your DVD or Blu-ray, depends what the requirements are. So we have logged in, and now if we go into File Manager, you will see that now we have a CD drive once Power ISO loads up. So we'll go here, there we go. So that's our CD drive that comes with VirtualBox, not the one we're talking about. This is what we want, okay? So the easiest way to do it is to go back into Power ISO. We wait for it to let us in, so a couple more seconds, there we go. Continued, and then we mount. So now we have the option to mount. So let's go mount image to the E drive. And we will look for it, and here it is, the Ultimate Boot CD-ROM, open. And here we go. So now if we go into the E drive, we have the actual program, or the actual CD, okay? So let's say we want to burn this. I'm not sure if the unregistered one will let us, but let's go burn. We select the image file, open, perfect. So then obviously I don't have a drive here, but you select a drive and off you go, and you burn that into your CD, and you can take it with you on a CD or DVD. Very simple as that. Now you can also extract them. I usually don't use Power ISO to extract a CD-ROM because a lot of applications or games or programs, they actually detect if it's a CD that you're running it from, so extracting it's not very useful. But let's say you also want to burn a CD-ROM, and I don't know, you want to enter the license key for that program. So we just open the ISO image, so we'll open it from here. So let's say, for example, you want to put the serial key, so let's create just a random file. So we'll put a text file, next, text file, serial, for example, blah, 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 blah. That's the serial key, okay, yes. And then we can just drag and drop it here. It will put it, and then it will save the actual, there we go. Okay, so as you see, it's now registered, of course not, and it will let us just only adapt the file, which is 300 megs or lower. So this file is 822, so unfortunately it will not let us, but if you get the drift there. So let's exit this. Do you want to save it? No. Okay, let's open it now with Power ISO. And continue on registered. Okay, yeah, it hasn't saved it. But as you can see, you can create your own CDs. So if you want to, I don't know, save all your photographs into CD-ROM, you just drag and drop them, you save them into a CD, and you can take them, give them to your grandmother, to your parents, or whoever. You can also do a disk copy, yeah, as you can see. But these options you will need to register the actual program. But it's very handy. I use this quite a bit when it comes to installing, for example, programs I have downloaded or games, just for testing purposes to see if they want to buy them or not. So you just install it, you play it a little bit, it's like I like it, okay, then you go and buy it. So pretty much that is Power ISO for you. There's not much more to it. Actually, let me unmount now the CD drive. So I right click on the icon and with this unmount all the drives. So now it should just show us the CD drive, but with nothing there. Okay, so if you like this tutorial, I do apologize. I know a few of them were a bit short, but I didn't want to get too much into the program themselves. It was more just a recommendation of what tools you could use and just basically what they do. But don't forget to comment. Most importantly, don't forget to subscribe and share our channel, which you can do underneath below me. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I will list all the downloads in the description, so you can go ahead and download the programs as you wish. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Take care. To get the latest tutorials, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Until then, take care.